Imagine 19th century Stockholm. Sweden is just rocketing into the industrial age, building railways, opening factories. It's chaotic. But in the middle of all that, there was a place that didn't just tell time, it commanded it. A place that took the messy, unpredictable pace of a nation and gave it a steady, reliable rhythm. And that is a remarkable story. And this was the hub of it all, G.W. Linderoth's clock factory, founded way back in 1844. The man behind it, Gustav Wilhelm Linderoth, didn't just see an inaccurate clock as, a minor inconvenience. For him, it was a personal challenge. He had this restless imagination, and more importantly, he had the incredible technical skill to actually bring his vision of perfect time to life. And this was his mission right from the get-go. This wasn't just some workshop. It was, and I love this quote, a place where time was not merely observed, but taken firmly in hand and told what to do. That whole attitude, that commitment to absolute precision and unwavering reliability, that was the bedrock of the entire company. Now, this promise of precision, it wasn't just some marketing slogan they cooked up. Nope, it was the foundation of their reputation, and it was established right from the very beginning. Just take a look at this. This was made the very same year the factory opened. It's a sterling silver mantle clock, and it was a gift to a Professor Magnus Huss, who was a giant in Swedish medicine, from his grateful patients. And that tells you everything, doesn't it? A Linderoth clock was never just a machine that told you the hour. It was an instrument of public trust. It was a symbol of gratitude, a tribute to a life well lived. But Gustav Wilhelm wasn't the only genius in that workshop, not by a long shot. In fact, one of the most formidable, truly trailblazing figures at the very heart of the Linderoth legacy was his wife, Betty Linderoth. You have to remember, in the 19th century, the world of fine watchmaking was a man's world, exclusively. So Betty, even though she was the brilliant daughter of a master watchmaker herself, faced constant dismissal. Her male peers had this mocking nickname for her, the watchmaker in skirts. It was an insult, right? Meant to put her in her place. So what was her response? Pure practical genius. She didn't argue, she didn't protest, she just cut her hair, dressed like a man, and kept on working. It wasn't about rebellion, you see. It was about efficiency. She was going to let her work, the results, do all the talking for her. And oh boy, did those results talk. She wasn't just a symbolic partner. She was the operational core of the entire company. She ran the workshop, she trained a whole new generation of 8 women watchmakers, she became the royal court watchmaker, and even earned international recognition for her work. Just an incredible resume. So in every way that really mattered, Betty Linderoth was the brand. Her character, precise, resilient, inventive, and just completely unwilling to accept silly limitations, that defined the very soul of a Linderoth timepiece. Of course, the Linderoth legacy didn't stop there. The next generation, led by their son, Johann Gustav Linderoth, would take that obsession with precision and just scale it up, embedding Linderoth time into the very fabric of the whole nation. So Johann takes over in 1871, and he really escalates the company's prestige. But his vision went way beyond the royal court. I mean, his huge public clocks, they weren't just landmarks. They were the engines of a modern city, synchronizing everything, train schedules, factory shifts, public life, all to a single authoritative beat. He was basically turning the family business into a civic institution. And this just illustrates it perfectly. This is how Linderoth's timepieces were literally woven into the lives of Sweden's most influential people. On the left, you've got Axel Odelberg, the royal secretary. And on the right, his Linderoth clock. For guys like him, whose entire workday revolved around state business, knowing the correct time wasn't a convenience, it was an absolute necessity. And this was his mark. Johann's monogram became this symbol of technical mastery and continuity. You'd see it on so many of the historic Linderoth creations. And what's really cool is that it's now reappearing on the revived Linderoth watches, creating this direct link back to that incredible legacy of quality. But this national rhythm wasn't just for city squares and royal courts. It was the very pulse of Sweden's growing industrial and maritime power. And that was an arena where a single second could mean the difference between profit and ruin, or even between life and death. Look at this thing. The mechanism here? This is a marine chronometer. In the age of global trade and steamships, this instrument was the single most critical piece of equipment on a ship. Period.
It was the only reliable way for sailors to calculate their longitude, their exact east-west position on the globe.
I mean, the pressure on these devices was just immense. If a chronometer lost even a few seconds a day, that small error could grow and grow until a vessel was completely lost, maybe even stranded on a coast they couldn't see, or missing its port by hundreds of miles. There was zero room for error. Absolutely none.
So this new era of steam power, it brought incredible efficiency and speed. We all know that. But it also came with these new pressures and new demands, not just on the machines, but on the people who relied on them. This is the steamship SS Per Brahe. For decades, she was a symbol of this new, reliable, schedule-driven world. She ran these vital routes on Sweden's inland waterways. And, of course, she was equipped with a Linderoth chronometer. But her story ends in tragedy. On a stormy night in 1918, under pressure to keep a tight schedule, the ship left port heavily overloaded. The deck load wasn't secured properly, and it shifted in the violent waves. The ship capsized. Everyone on board was lost. It was just a heartbreaking lesson. That relentless drive for efficiency, the tyranny of the timetable, it had pushed common sense right out the window.
So the story of Linderoth is one of these incredible triumphs in precision, but it's also set against a world that's grappling with the consequences of that very same precision. As one source put it, time, as ever, moves on. Legacy, with a well-made mechanism, does not.
Which kind of leaves us with this one final thought. The Linderoth story is all about building trust in time through flawless machines. But the tragedy of the Per Brahe is this stark reminder of the human element in all of this. So the question then is, how does a legacy built on precision endure in a world that, maybe now more than ever, asks just a little too much of both our machines and our time?